EP3, speaking the truth in love, and I just come on for a few minutes to give you guys a word of encouragement before I go into work this morning. So this morning I want to talk about being grateful. I think a lot of times people don't realize how good they have it. No matter how bad your situation is, there's always somebody that's going through something worse. And I'm not saying that your situation isn't bad, but we got to remember that all things work together for the good for them that love the Lord and who are called according to his purpose, his riches, and his glory. So this is what I want to talk about. So every year on my job, I'm in management, and I think I've spoke of that before. I'm in management. And so we get merit raises. And every year, and I'm going to be honest, sometimes the merit raise is not what we think it should be. A lot of times that 2% or that 4% just don't go that far. It's just based on where you already are, right? Because 2% for one person is one thing, and 2% for another person is another thing. Because 2% is 2%, but it's 2% based on the income or the salary that you already have, right? And of course, insurance goes up and all those things. So when I say this, I'm not saying that people aren't in some ways valid for their thoughts. But I think a lot of times people, not only on my job, but just in general in life, I just use that as an example. But generally in life, a lot of people really don't think about how good they have it. There are a lot of folks that don't have a job. Or there's a lot of people that don't make the money. I'm from Mississippi, and the company that I work for, they pay us pretty good, especially based on the economy, our local economy. The cost of living, yes, it's rising, but it's not as bad as in other places. So I'm not saying that the people don't deserve a better raise and stuff like that, but what I'm saying is there are people that's making, like, still in this day and age, making $6-7 an hour. And so when you look at things as the way they are, yes, those are those people's choices, and there are things that come along with working at a company like I work for. But the thing is, you're blessed if you have a decent salary. You're blessed if your children are healthy. You're blessed if you have a roof over your head. You're blessed if you got that 2% increase or that 4% increase, whatever it is that you're complaining about. Sometimes we have to learn to be thankful for what we have. And in being thankful for what you have, the Bible says if you are, the Bible says that if you're faithful over a little, then he will make you great over much. And so, yes, the 2% or the 4% or even the 6%, just based on where you're working, may not be a lot at the time when you first get it. But if you're faithful over that little bit, if you're thankful and you're praising God for his provision, even when to you it seems like it's not much, then just think about what you are going to get later on. Because if you're faithful over a little, if you're thankful, if you're grateful, if you steward what he gives you well, then eventually you will get there. Listen, there are some people that become millionaires and multimillionaires overnight. I don't deny that. But for the most part, when you really go back and you look at people's lives, if you read their memoirs, if you go study different people that you look up to, and you will find that they didn't get there overnight. We say it's an overnight success, but that overnight success, that's been in the making for like 15 years, sometimes 20 years. When you go back and you really look at, let's just take actors for example. I'll say Samuel Jackson. Samuel Jackson is one of the biggest superstars to this day. But listen, it took him a long time to get there. He was a working actor. To be a working actor does not mean that you're a multimillionaire. It means that you are getting consistent work, and you're building up your reputation. Be it in the theater, and theater is kind of broad because it could be local theater all the way up into, some of the bigger companies. So, and plus he went to school. I mean, he didn't just get up one day and say, I'm going to start acting. He went and got educated. So I use that person as an example, but there's so many more. So when you look at people, even in your everyday life, they have the big house. They have the house paid off, the big house that is paid off. In our area, 3,200 square foot house is pretty good for, the middle class person. And I'm saying like the lower middle class, which is what the average person in this area that work a decent job is. It took time for them to get there. They had to go to work every day for sometimes 20 years or 30 years. And then it took time for them to get to where they can afford that particular house. Maybe they started off with a starter house, and then they were able to rent that house out or sell that and get the profit off that and pay for the house that they have. There's different things that people have to do in order to get where they are. Now you see the big house, them buying a car whenever they get ready. They can drive in whatever kind of car they want to drive in. They going on vacations. But there were many years when their vacation was just, they took off from work and all the thing they could do was stay home and watch movies. Or clean up, stay home and just do little things with their children. What I'm saying is, be thankful when things are small. Because eventually, if you work hard enough and if you trust God and you believe and you're consistent, you will get where you want to get. And again, when you get there, after you've worked however many years it don't take the same amount because everybody's journey is not the same. But if you hang in there, I'm telling you, over time, no matter how small how much your salary is, if you are still one of those people that's making $8, $9 an hour, $10 an hour, whatever, if you're consistent, somebody on your job will see that, hey, this person has some skills that we can use in the upper management, or in other words, you can move up in the company that you're at, but also you can take your experience and move on to something bigger and better. But in the meantime, just be thankful and grateful, and be wise in how you spend your money and how you go about everyday life. Treat people with kindness. Be thankful, because people who are not thankful or bitter, they're hard to get along with because they don't even know why they're mad. They're just mad at the world. Don't be that kind of person. Be thankful. Be thankful for what you have in the moment and look forward to the goodness of God. Anyway, I've rambled on enough. Let's just be thankful. This has been EB3, speaking the truth in love. Be blessed, be a blessing. And again, don't forget to thank God for whatever it is you have today. I'm out.